Hi, I'm Michelle Chalfant, psychotherapist, holistic life coach, and human just like you, learning to navigate life's challenges. With over 25 years experience, I teach people how to get healthy using the adult chair model. The adult chair model is where simple psychology meets grounded spirituality, and it teaches us how to become healthy adults. From anxiety and depression to codependency and relationship issues, you can use the adult chair for just about anything. Each week, I share practical tips, tools, and advice from myself and a wide range of experts on how to get unstuck, how to live authentically, and how to truly love yourself, all while sitting in your adult chair. Welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Adult Chair Podcast. As always, I'm so happy to be here with you today. Today, we have a very special guest, someone that I feel like, again, is someone I've known forever. We've done one other podcast with you, right, Shann? Is it one other?
Yeah,
one other podcast?
One on your show and one on my show.
Yeah. So I'm really excited. I have Shann Vander Leek on. We're talking today about anxiety, all things anxiety. We're talking about fear. We're talking about how do we live with all that's going on in the world right now from a place of balance and peace. How can we regain that peace and balance during this time? So for those of you that are new to the show, hop on over to theadultchair.com. I have free resources. The podcast is there. I've got free meditations. I've got an inner child down. I've got all kinds of stuff. So go to theadultchair.com, check that out. And of course, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Would love to connect with you there. So we're going to jump right in, though. Let me tell you just a little bit about Shann before we get started. Shann, let me start out by saying this. The Anxiety Slayer podcast is hosted by Shann Vander Leek and Ananga Sivyer, award-winning podcasters, authors, and anxiety coaches. For over 11 years, Anxiety Slayer's mission is to help you feel more peace and tranquility in your life with anxiety release exercises and supportive tools created to slay your anxiety. With over 8 million downloads and hundreds of free podcasts, Anxiety Slayer is one of the most listened to resources for stress and anxiety relief, which is exactly what we need right now, Shann. So welcome again to the Adult Chair Podcast.
Thank you so much for your invitation. I'm grateful to be here with you today during these really wild, challenging, and unsettling times.
Yeah, we were just talking before we hit record, and I said, this is such a strange time. Like, I don't even know what we call the time that we're in, but it's, did you say surreal? It's like, I try to find words. I can't find words, but interesting, strange, odd, terrible, angry. Like, people have all kinds of.
Well, it really depends on the day. It depends on the day. It depends on what's going on. It depends on the, we have so much screen time, all of us now in our lives, and probably even more so with quarantine and staying home more often. And so we have all of this stuff coming at us. And it's hard to know some days what's true and what's not, and how to really feel about things. And with parents with young ones who are going off to school, or my daughter going off to college, you've got that to think about. We have our jobs to think about. So many are without work now. And I mean, it seems like it's just one thing after the next. And so it's really best to take things day by day and sometimes hour by hour to stay as calm as you can during these uncertain times.
It's like as you're going through that list, I'm thinking, yep, we've got that to think about. We've got, how are we going to have these kids homeschooled, and work at the same, all of these things. It's like we're bombarded by things that none of us are used to, where people are losing their jobs. Do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? And there are arguments over that. There's arguments over politics. There's fear and anger coming at us, wherever we go. More people than not. I don't know about you that I talk to, but as far as like my personal social media page, I don't even engage. I don't care. What is your experience with that? What are you doing on social media?
Yeah, I am very surgical about my use of social media now. So I will get in and get what I want to share, really trying to lighten things up a bit when I can. I mean, especially for Anxiety Slayer, because so many of our listeners and so many of our following are suffering even more now than they were
Mm-hmm.
before. So trying to really bring in as much beauty and sweetness as I can. And as far as commenting or seeing things, I'm doing a whole lot of snooze for 30 days
Mm,
because no matter what your politics are or what your feelings are, I really don't want to see our president's face in every other post. I don't really want to hear about this thing or that thing or this situation or that, because it's so hard to even know what's right and what's real, I guess, not right, but what's
true.
really happening. And that's not where I want my focus to be. So I have backed off quite a bit as far as that's concerned. And even with media as well, I've taken a big media break, but that's pretty normal for me. I don't want to get drawn into the fear and the sadness and the uproar and the outrage and the what's true or what's false. So many are so divided right now, and I think a lot of that's pure manipulation. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's if I back off and know what I need to do for myself and for my family and for my clients and our listeners, that's the best thing that I can do. Not be engaged with people who are shooting their mouths off about things that they often don't understand,
Exactly.
or sharing information that they really believe is to be true that might not be. I
Yeah.
don't, I think a lot of this doesn't come from a malicious place, but it
Mm-hmm.
comes from, oh my gosh, did you see that? Did you read that? Did you get, and the whole politicizing wearing a mask. I mean, it's just blows my mind,
I
Michelle.
know. I know. I kind of feel like if you hear from someone that's really aggressive or angry, like there's something wrong. Or I should say to the person that's feeling really triggered, like
Yeah,
that's our own stuff. Like
right.
there's no reason to get triggered. I'm not saying for God's sake, like I feel for these people on the front line, these people that are losing jobs. Like that hurts me. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
what can we do to help these? We got to help these people,
right.
Um, but I'm talking about like the fear. Again, we don't know what's true.
Yeah,
All that we know is what's true with ourselves.
yeah,
So how do we best, would you say, protect ourselves? Like how do we best know? Because we are like you said, like taking a media break. I'm off the news altogether. People
yeah,
tell me things. They're like, oh, did you know it's mandatory to wear a mask in our county? I'm like, thank you, I didn't know that, thank you.
right,
Which I was wearing one anyway. I don't, again, i
right.
hate i hate wearing a mask, but I do it to be respectful, and I feel like, hey, it may or may not stop the spread. There are, you know some people say it will, some people say it won't. I'm like, it doesn't kill me to wear a damn mask. I'm going to wear a mask in the grocery
Exactly,
store, and I'm going to get home and
exactly.
take it off, and I'm done.
Right,
It doesn't hurt me to do that. Whether I agree or
right.
not, I'm going to do it because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
So, like, how do people, and I think this is where a lot of anxieties come from. People can say, I don't know what's true. I don't know what's true. It's like, what's true for you? But tell us, like,
Yes.
how do you, what would you say to someone that's navigating in such a time of uncertainty? Like, how can we help people? What do you say to people?
I think the best place to start is to get grounded as much as
Yeah.
you possibly can. And no matter where you live, there's an opportunity for you
Mm-hmm.
to get out in nature, to tend to, even if you have potted plants on a small balcony, to
Mm-hmm.
a large garden like I have. I've been spending time gardening. I've been spending time at Lake Michigan, swimming, walking the
Mm.
beach, uh, moving in, walking through woodland paths, anything that I can do to ground, to get my feet on the earth, to breathe in the fresh air, to pay attention to the squirrels and the birds, and to be able to just come back to that place of, wow, this is really what's important. This is beauty medicine. This
Mm-hmm.
is the way that I want to spend my days, versus being in fear and wondering what's next and getting myself all tied up in knots. So that grounding piece is huge.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it, even if, and again, it's no matter where you live. Even if you live in a big city, you know that there are places that you can find to get some green, to get your feet on the ground, and to really slow down and take it in. I think that's where it starts for me, and that's what we recommend is as often as possible.
Yeah.
You
I,
have to slow down anyway, You might as well slow down and do
Yeah,
so in places that serve you well, serve your mind, body, and soul.
because the faster the mind goes, the more out of our body we are and the more anxious we are, right?
Yeah.
Why else is it important to ground?
Well, our minds are so very fragile.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I don't think enough people really understand that. It's not,
Yeah.
you don't have to have mental illness to have a mind that can be really thrown off pretty quickly. We have a very
Mm-hmm.
fragile mind. So when we're grounding, that really helps us. It lowers our heart rate. It helps us really slow down and be mindful of the great and crushing beauty in the world, and that there's so much more than electronics. There's so much
Mm-hmm.
more than angry comments and observations and judgments. And you cannot be joyful if you're in judgment.
Ooh,
And
I like
so,
that. You
right?
cannot be joyful if you're in judgment. That is like
Yeah,
a really good quote right there.
yeah. You just can't. So that's part of it, is slowing down. And the other ways that you can ground are by moving your body, whether you're swimming or whether
Mm-hmm.
you're practicing qigong or yoga. That invites
Mm,
you to get back into your body. So many of us leave our body, we feel so disconnected. We kind of feel like, oh my goodness, uh, how do I tether? How do I tether myself? How
yeah.
do I get back in? So that is really important as well.
It seems like the mind would, and the further out of our bodies we go, don't you find that then we even reach for more information to calm us down, but the information doesn't calm us down? It leads to more anxiety and more out of the body.
Oh, sure, because you're kind of blind when you're looking at it. Like
Yeah.
you're pulling up things. You're trying to support yourself, but you can't really read it. You can't really take it in, and that's something that's when you know you're in information overload. I think another really good practice, if you can do it, is wake up a little bit earlier in the morning if you have a job that you have to go to. If you work from home like I do, I make sure that each morning I have a nice ritual, especially this time of year,
Mm,
where I go out on my front porch, I either drink some tea or a cup of coffee, I read a chapter, just one chapter
mm-hmm.
of a book. And I'm reading Braiding Sweetgrass right now, which is an
Ooh.
incredibly beautiful book. And unfortunately, I can't think of the author's name right at this moment, but I'll make
Hmm.
sure you have it for the
Yeah,
show
please, for
notes,
the
because
show
it's
notes.
just
Hmm.
a fantastic book. And just allowing myself that nice time and space to give
Mm,
something back to myself. Again, I'm outside, I'm taking in fresh air,
yeah.
I'm bringing in a lovely book, and then I get my day started.
That is my favorite time of the day is first thing in the morning. And I go outside on my deck as well. And
Yeah,
I listen to the birds and I
yeah,
look at the trees and it's silent. It's silent. And it's like such a beautiful time of mindfulness and grounding. The other thing I love about grounding is, especially when people are spinning out and they're in so much fear, is it reconnects us, back into the earth, but back into our intuition, back into the body, so then we can find our own truth.
right.
You agree? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's so important that we ground for that reason. A lot of people don't know the importance of grounding. It is essential to really finding our truth. What's in your heart? What is that intuition, the God given intuition that we all have? What is your next step? What is true? Instead of reading it from 15 sources and they're all different outside of us. And it's like, wah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, what are some other tips that you would give to people to help them? So we know that there's an importance in coming back to center. So grounding is a wonderful resource. What about, give us some other ideas? You said Qigong. I know what that is. Can you explain to the listeners, what is that? And why is it
Yeah.
important specifically?
Well, I am certainly not an expert on qigong, but I do practice it because I have regular shiatsu sessions with a lovely woman who will teach me a new movement, in a
Mm,
series of movements where you're just very slowly and thoughtfully moving your body in certain ways to activate different meridian points. And we could talk about EFT tapping, we
oh,
could talk
yeah.
about acupuncture, acupressure, qigong. We're moving energy, so it's
Mm-hmm.
energy movement. and we
Yeah.
can get really stagnant in our bodies and without even knowing it. And by incorporating this kind of practice, or getting shiatsu, which I highly recommend, or even body work, I highly recommend. And I realize for some people right now that's a non-issue because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so I have I have a massage tomorrow. I'm very grateful to say, and
Mm-hmm.
it's my second one during COVID, but it's also with somebody who I know very
Mm-hmm.
well. She's
Mm-hmm.
coming to my home. We are good friends. We've both been quarantining. And so, and we'll be very careful about what we do.
Yeah.
When this passes, I would highly recommend body work. But in the meantime, there are different movements that you can do through Qigong that will really help move the energy in your body. And it's doesn't take much time, and it's just another beautiful gift to give yourself when you're feeling spun out. EFT tapping is huge for natural healing as well, tapping on
Mm-hmm.
the meridian points. And my partner Ananga is, was practicing and teaching EFT before it became all the rage,
Yeah.
back many, many years ago when it first came on the scene in
90,
the
it was
UK.
1996, Gary Craig, because I
Yeah,
found him in 96.
yeah.
It's a
And her
powerful technique. Powerful.
really powerful. And her book came out, maybe even before then. I don't recall, but I just know that I've learned tapping from her 11 years ago
Yeah.
and have been doing it. And even, there's a point on your collarbone.
Mm-hmm.
So even
Yeah.
if you don't know anything about tapping, you can go to anxietyslayer.com/EFT, and
Yeah.
everything there, it'll just give you a diagram and a little bit more information about what we're talking about. But there's a point on your collarbone. If you take your fingers and just tap
Mm-hmm.
right underneath your collarbone,
Yep.
that's a fear point.
Yep.
And so if you're feeling afraid, if something's got you really like, breathless,
Mm-hmm.
tap and breathe
Yep.
slowly. Tap and breathe just in that one spot.
Yeah.
And you will start to notice a change.
I have a little 2-minute video on EFT on my YouTube channel that walks people through, because it's such a basic technique.
Yeah.
Everybody should know how to do this because
Yes.
it clears physical and emotional and mental issues. I mean, it clears them. So please, please, if you don't know it, you guys, and again, that point right below the collarbone is really essential to clearing fear. Tell us, can you explain? I know that people on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, can watch us. Maybe you could stand up and show us a Qigong exercise, Shann. Or can you explain
I
it? Can you explain
well,
something?
I'd love to show you, but the way things are set up in here, all you
You
would see
can't.
would be my midsection, and
Okay.
I have a
So can
really
you
small.
explain something though for people that could that they could do at home?
Yes, I can explain something. Sure. So, so picture yourself as a little kid. Okay, this is because this is a part of it, and you're standing in your kitchen, and you're kind of bending your knees, kind of in horse stance. So your feet are about hips width distance apart, knees are bent, and then
Mhm.
you're taking your arms and you're just letting your arms swing around your body,
Oh, I
swing
like that.
around. So just swinging back and forth, back and forth. Your hands might even be, and you want your hands actually to be gently tapping on your back. So it's a swivel move.
Oh,
So
so
your
like a little
arms are
kid,
kind
your
of
arms are
swiveling,
like this, like back and
swiveling
but
around.
lower.
So they're down by your sides and
Yes,
swiveling, swiveling,
like
swiveling.
by your hips. I love
Yeah,
that.
and then you can bring them back up and do it so that it's on the top. And what it's doing is it's that your hands in that swinging are hitting some points in your body that are helping clear energy.
Oh, I
It's also
love
really
it.
fun, and while you're doing it, you let your neck go and you let your arms go,
Mm.
and it's I think it's called Temple Bell.
Temple
That
Bell. I'll put
I
it down.
think it's going to be very close to that, but that's something anybody can do, and you just kind of really loosen up your energy, and it feels really good. And then also patting up and down your body. So you'll start and you'll just pat up, and so you'll start at your right shoulder and pat all the way down your arm, and then go underneath your armpit, pat all the way down to your foot, come back up, start on the other side. And then after you've done the patting, then you push your hand all the
Mm.
way down, like you're rubbing and moving the energy all the way down.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side. And then lastly, just the energy around the arm, around the legs, and getting your whole body and doing that. So it's 3 different steps:
Hmm.
tapping, patting, and then pushing or rubbing down the body, and then the energy, and that will clear your energy as well.
Yeah, it seems like that would be really soothing and relaxing.
It's
Even as
really
you say
nice.
it, I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I'm really relaxed just watching
Yeah,
you.
I wish I could show you, but it won't work. So,
You even mentioned swimming.
oh yeah,
Talk
yeah.
about how that helps with
I'm blessed to
anxiety.
live. I'm blessed to live 3 blocks away from Lake Michigan, and
Oh,
can
wow.
swim anytime I
Is
want.
it
And
warm up there?
oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's been the warmest water we've had in years. We've been swimming.
Really?
We've been stealing as much time as away to swim as we can, even if we just pop in for half an hour. It's just, there's nothing quite like being in a big body of water, kind of just
Yep.
letting the water hold you and letting go of any of the garbage that you're carrying, letting it be washed away, if you will.
Yeah.
And of course, swimming and playing in the water is incredibly good for you. It's will lift you up. It helps you feel refreshed.
Mm,
It's fantastic. Highly
I love
recommend
it.
if you can go swimming.
If you can't swim, at least get in the bathtub with some sea
Right.
salt.
Oh, of course. That goes
Just
without question.
getting in water in general, though, it's so cleansing
Hmm.
and relaxing, but cleansing for the energy field. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
Talk about joy spotting. What is joy
Yes.
spotting? I like that.
Joy spotting is something that I have been teaching for years and years and years, and it's so simple, you guys. You can't even believe it. But I learned this at a time when everything seemed to be so serious, and I was really highly stressed out. It was before I left my corporate life and started on my own, and it just seemed like I wasn't paying attention to the beauty all around me. As I like to say, the great and crushing
Yeah.
beauty all around us. I wasn't paying attention to it. So I
We miss
started
it.
to,
We miss it.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally missed it. And
Hmm.
so I would start to uh, challenge myself to find 10 things each day, no matter how small, they can be the smallest thing, that bring me joy, and jot
Mm.
them down.
Hmm.
And then after a time, I would ask my daughter and my husband to join me, and we'd have dinner and we'd share. We wouldn't share all 10 of them each, but we
Hmm.
would share the things that brought us joy throughout the day. So it might be watching the sunrise, it might be watching the birds in the morning, it might be a conversation with a friend that just cracked you up, it might be a beautiful painting or a book or a poem. It could be anything. It could be just hearing somebody's laughter and being mindful of that, taking it in,
Mm.
and then at the end of the day, looking at this list or remembering this list, and realizing that's just what I took notes on. That's just what stopped me. But how much
Wow.
joy there really is in our lives if we would just pay attention.
Well, let's talk for a moment about neural pathways and where we are. What naturally, I mean, we've got the part of the brain that's what, 500,000 years old.
Yeah,
It's
right.
sorting for the negative,
Right. Always.
always. So we've got to push ourselves and set the intention every day. I love this, like to look for the good, or
Yeah.
you're not going to see it because our default
Right.
mode goes into looking for what's wrong
Right.
and reaching for more of that. But when we sit, and I like this idea quite a bit, and focus on the good and then asking about it at the dinner table, I mean, what a beautiful practice.
Yeah, it really is. And actually, I haven't been sharing it for some years, but I still have a free joy spotting practice, a little worksheet, and audio and what have you. So I'll give that to your team to share if anybody listening wants it,
Yeah, for sure.
because it's just such a sweet way. And it feels to me like this conversation today really is about, and ties into what you've been talking about for weeks, is the self-care piece of
Yeah.
just a sweet way of caring for yourself in the midst of all of this, and understanding that that's the most important thing you can possibly do,
Hmm.
so that you're present for yourself and your family and whomever you need to be available for, so you're not all spun out and you're not getting dragged in, sucked into
Totally.
the drama and the garbage and and all of the stuff that eventually is going to pass. It
It
will
is going
pass.
to pass. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. It will pass. And that's what I keep reminding people when they're really worried. I'm like, this is temporary.
Yeah.
It's temporary. This will all pass. And people forget that. I think they get spun out with, no, it's not. It's
Right.
forever. No. Mm-mm.
Well, and there might be some PTSD to clear afterwards for a number of
Oh,
reasons.
for
And
sure.
so so we'll
I
be tapping
agree.
away a lot of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, what else do you recommend for people when they have anxiety? What are some other tools or techniques that you can recommend?
I like to listen to chakra clearing music.
Mm,
I like to listen to high vibe music.
yeah.
When COVID first came on the scene, I was listening every single day. I just had this lovely music on in the background to just
Hmm.
really settle myself down and support myself the best way I could. And if you go on YouTube and just search for
Yeah.
this music, you'll find it, and you can see what you like and what you don't. And so I've been listening to quite a bit. This morning, I was listening to a meditation called the I Am meditation,
Ooh.
and I'm trying to think. Dr. Wayne Dyer
Mm,
made it popular. It's not his meditation, however, but he made it so. But if you search for Wayne Dyer and the I Am meditation, and you get about 7 minutes in, that's when the
yeah.
music starts. And this music is so beautiful. It is just incredible, and it's looped for a really long time. So music is a big part of staying in a lovely space and nurturing yourself as well.
I agree. Music can really shift your emotional state completely, can't it?
Oh yeah.
Um, my son came home from college with COVID, of course. He didn't, well, we don't know. We think he might have had COVID, but in March, way back
Okay.
when.
Yeah.
And he would be doing his online school in March through May. And he was downstairs in the basement area. And I'm like, where's that music coming from? It's lovely. And I went down and I said, I could feel my body just be like, yeah, I like this music. I said,
Hmm.
what is it? Okay. And I shared it on Instagram, on my Instagram story many months ago. And people were like, this is the best. I want to share it with you, Shann, and everyone else. It's called
Yeah.
Coffee Jazz.
Okay.
I don't even like jazz. I'm not a
Right.
jazz fan, but let me just tell you, you go to YouTube, put in coffee jazz, and it's
Okay.
like you can do it on your television, you can do it on your phone, whatever.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I have it on the television, and it just is now I was like, this is the best. It's live streaming the
Yeah.
most lovely background music. And every time I walk through the house and I hear it again, I'm like, my body, I
Yeah.
start to sway. It's so relaxing to the nervous system. So just to
Right.
have it out of the background, it's awesome. So check out Coffee Jazz because it's my new favorite to go to. And I love all music, but I'm not a giant fan of jazz, but I don't know what. I love this. So maybe I do like jazz.
Yeah.
Shouldn't say that. Maybe I do like jazz now. Um, anything else you want to share? Anything else that comes to your mind about anxiety?
I just think that when we just need to know that anxiety can hijack us so
Yeah.
easily, so quickly.
Yeah.
And so when you feel yourself starting to, that feeling like, oh my gosh, I was just fine a minute ago.
Yeah.
What is this? What is this? To remember what you know, to remember how to care for yourself. That sometimes it's just a matter of distracting yourself. Sometimes it's a matter of going to a window and looking outside if you can't
Mm-hmm.
get outside. Sometimes it's just slowing down a bit and taking some deep breaths and just kind of analyzing where you're at, because
Yeah.
we we are all dealing with so much right now. And even you and I were talking before we started recording today about how you can be going along just fine and feel
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like I got a handle on things, and then just boom, sad or
Yes.
fear, or whatever
Yes.
it may be. And a lot of
Yes.
that's the collective consciousness. Some
It
of that's
is.
not even your own. So there's these projections and things, and that's why, back to the beginning of the conversation, and grounding and doing these sweet things for yourself, that's why it's so very important, because we are so fragile, so much more fragile than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can be mindful of what's happening, that mindfulness, like, okay, this is what I need. Oh my gosh, have I remembered to hydrate today? oh, wow, I found myself having 2 or 3 cups of coffee when probably one should be my max.
Yep.
Staying away from caffeine that can get us all jittery and
Amped up.
agitated,
Yeah.
all that stuff, making sure we get a good night's rest, that we have uh, practices that get us into a nice, calming, beautiful space before we go to bed. Getting away from screens for at
Yes.
least an hour before bed.
Yes.
Please let yourself have some time to get away, because you have to give your body a chance. We're not meant to have all of this influx of information and data in our faces for as many
It's
hours as we do in
overwhelming.
a day. It's too much.
It's too much. And people forget, like they think, well, I'm just going to just lay down here on the couch for a few hours and like watch television. I'm like, you're still in front of a screen. Like pick
Yeah,
up a book, pick up a magazine, go sit outside, don't do anything. But we've got to
right.
remember to rest our bodies. And I feel like I was in that loop too for a while in the beginning of all this. I was like, go, 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 go. And I'm like, wait a minute, relax. And I say this to my clients and people that listen to me. I'm like, slow down. I'm like, I got to practice this because I'm finding I wasn't slowing down enough. And what I noticed was my nervous system, I could feel my adrenal fatigue start to kick up again.
Oh yeah,
I'm always working on my adrenal fatigue my whole life. And I'm like, uh-oh, I can tell when it starts to get a little bit worse. I'm like, okay, stop. I got to slow down.
yeah.
But what people don't talk about, and I think what people forget, I want you to comment on this a little bit, is that we need to pay attention to our nervous system. And the nervous system truly has like a mind all of its own.
Oh
It's
yeah.
almost like it's like it's always on high alert, sensing what is all around us, what you're taking in. That nervous system gets tripped up so quickly and throws us into anxiety. What do you want to share with us that you know about the nervous system? Because it's such a hot topic right now with polyvagal theory and all of these things.
Oh yeah. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, please be mindful of what you're watching when you
Yes.
are doing a Netflix marathon, or whatever your streaming
Yeah.
uh, service is. Uh, wow, the violence and gore and really anxiety ridden movies
Provoking.
and shows, or provoking, thank you,
Yeah.
are not what you want right now. Right now is a really good time for comedy, for things that are going to make you laugh, perhaps documentaries, things where you can learn. If you're going to watch something, choose something that isn't going to uh, amp up and screw up your nervous system on top of
Yeah.
everything else, because we're
Totally.
just being bombarded and our nervous
Yeah.
systems are exhausted.
Yep. I agree. That is when I know I tune in more to my nervous system than anything right now. I'm like, when I start feeling jittery, I'm like, okay, wait, I'm going to go sit
Yes.
outside for an hour. And I do. And I go sit and then I feel so much better. I
Oh
don't have
yeah.
to do anything. My phone is left inside. We have to be mindful of this because we are running ourselves ragged, and it's all the information we're taking in the mind. We're trying to make sense of it. It's like it makes us it goes straight into anxiety.
It really does. And I think that another part of that too is, make sure you have enough magnesium in your diet, whether
Hmm.
you're whether you're taking magnesium supplements, or whether you drink natural calm
Yeah.
magnesium like I do, or Dr. Carolyn Dean has something called Remag, and she's written books and is an expert on magnesium. Almost every single person walking the earth right now is deficient,
Yep.
is magnesium
I
deficient.
agree.
And that
Um,
is so nurturing for your nervous system. So very, very good for you. It's just fantastic. So good.
yeah. I drink calm every night too. I like that calm. It's helpful with sleep. So I just want to end on this note. I am noticing again that every single thing that you're recommending to help us with anxiety is an internal job.
It is.
It's about a choice that we have to make. I didn't hear you say anything about well, outside of anxiety, like taking this pill or that pill or drinking wine or anything
No.
like that. It's like really, in order to help us during this time, but anytime, because whether we have COVID or not, we still have anxiety. We're still doing too much. We're still stressed out. So everything that you gave me, of course, I mean, that we talked about today is really wonderful, but it's interesting. It's really an internal job, and it's a choice that we have to make. We have to wake up in those moments when we are feeling completely overwhelmed and go, wait, I'm going to step outside. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to get
Yeah,
in
take
the lake.
action.
What do
Take
you,
action. Don't just sit there and suffer.
no, no, but it's internal.
Yep.
Go buy some, even if you live like in a big city, go buy some plants for your apartment.
Mhm.
Like get
Exactly.
nature inside of you see my plant. I have like a
Yep.
forest inside my house because I
Yeah.
like lots of plants, but the nervous system loves this stuff. Can you speak at all to that? Anything else about choices and internal versus external choices for anxiety?
Well, in my opinion and in my practice and everything that Ananga and I talk about, we try to do everything holistically, everything naturally, as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
We are not have a problem, take a pill kind of people. We
Yeah.
realize that in some cases that's absolutely necessary and there's no
Yeah.
judgment there.
Nope.
Nothing wrong with that. But for general anxiety, for the stuff that is coming up for so many right now, you can make some very small choices and make a big change.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you would know at 9 million downloads on your show. You clearly have an idea of how
Oh,
to
we're not quite there yet, but
almost.
we're about actually about 7.5 million.
Well,
Close
excuse
enough.
me. Excuse me.
Well, I don't want to put false information out there. But we'll be there soon, I
You're
promise.
almost there. Okay.
Right.
I think that you guys know a lot about anxiety. So this has been really wonderful, especially with just I really wanted to do this show with you because I'm like, what's going on right now is creating
Yeah.
so much more anxiety that can be helped and turned
Yes.
around. We
Yes,
can
you can
turn
do
this
that.
around, but it's got, you got to make some good choices for yourselves out there. Thank you, Shann.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. And I look forward to having you back on Anxiety Slayer next spring.
I would love to be on it. Thank you. Thanks so much. Where would people find you? Tell us anything you're offering right
Oh,
now.
sure.
Anxiety Slayer podcast, of course.
Yeah, so you can go to anxietyslayer.com and that's going to be your portal to just about everything that we do. We have a free Anxiety Slayer starter course there that you can get. We have an entire page devoted to COVID-19 and practices you can do to support yourself. We have the EFT information. So
Awesome.
everything's at anxietyslayer.com. And you can follow us on all of the social media places as well. And
Awesome.
we also have 10 albums available that Ananga has produced and that I have recorded. My voice, her music, she's a fantastic musician, that are available at Apple Podcasts, CD Baby, all these places. Really great guided meditations and guided relaxations that might be supportive for you.
What is it called?
Well, there are 10 different albums. So if you just
Okay.
search for Anxiety Slayer,
Okay.
we have one. Yeah, we have one that's called Oasis. We have another one that's called Transition to Calm. Actually, Transition to Calm might be a really
That's a
great
really
one
good one
to
for
look
right now.
at. Yeah, especially for
So-
people who are working on the front lines and need support. Yeah.
So Anxiety Slayer, if they just Google that or go into anxietyslayer.com.
Yeah.
I got it. I'll put all this in the show notes. What was the
Yes.
name of the book, The Magnesium Expert by Dr. Carolyn Dean?
Dr. Carolyn Dean, I don't know the name of the book. I think it might be The Magnesium
I'll find it. That's fine.
Miracle, maybe.
I'll find it.
But she's amazing. She's amazing. She's been on our show a couple times and she's just so smart. And
I will
helpful.
for sure put that down.
Yeah.
I'll put that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
And I'll put everything
also
else down.
I'll make sure I get your team to the joy spotting gift.
Yes, please,
Okay.
please, please.
Yeah,
And we will joy spotting gift. I'll put all that in the show notes. Joy spotting gift. Perfect. And if anyone, when you want to go and get all this information, you just go to theadultchair.com/podcast, and then you can put in Anxiety Slayer. And then not just this show will pop up, but also the last show that you and I did a few years ago.
Great.
So yeah. Thanks so much, Shann. So nice to see you and talk to you again. I love
Thank
having
you. You too. Many blessings.
Many blessings to you too. Thank you. All right, everybody. I so appreciate you hanging out with us today. Thanks so much and have a beautiful week. And I'll see you seated right here next week in the adult chair.